welcome back to Kanga TV, the home of North Melbourne fans. By the time you're watching this video, it will be draft day number 1, where North hold pick 2 in the 2025 National Draft. I've just come here at the very end to give you my last minute thoughts before we head into what should be a very eventful evening for North Melbourne. There's been so many names and so many scenarios thrown around for North Melbourne for most of this season, but particularly in the last month since the trade period ended. You would have noticed that I haven't done a whole heap of draft content. I did do a video with Pommy where we threw around potential ideas that North may do with pick 2 a few weeks back, but otherwise I've kind of stayed away from the draft. And the reason why is that there are a lot of other creators doing a much better job at analyzing the draft and really diving deep into the nitty-gritty than I would be able to do, and I just didn't think that my commentary would have added a lot of justice. It's not something that I've ever really focused on in the past. I will look to next season do a better job for that, I promise. But when I made the decision to launch Kanga TV, it was a spur-at-the-moment decision, and by that point there was already so much draft content out there and people really starting up their videos and their campaigns as part of the draft, and I just thought, I'm not even going to touch it. I'm going to stay in my own lane. I will speak to the experts when I need to and leave them to educate you. And I've just come in on draft morning. Well, I'm filming this the night before, but I'm coming in on the morning, Wednesday the 20th of November, to give you my last minute thoughts about what North might do ahead of the first round of the draft. So as it stands, North is going into tonight's draft with just one pick, that is pick 2. They have not traded that away over the trading window between the trade period ending and draft starting. Now, we do know they are able to live trade tonight, and I do feel like it's going to be a lot of tension for that first sort of 20 minutes to half an hour of the draft, figuring out what exactly we're going to do. Are we going to bring any future picks into the mix as well? There are so many scenarios at play. The first thing I really want to know is, are North going to bid on Levi Ashcroft? Now, he is touted as the best player going into this year's draft. We already know he will be going to Brisbane as part of the father-son rule. He has nominated Brisbane. If I were North, I would still bid on Ashcroft. I think he deserves to go in those top 2 to 3 spots. Not that it really matters for us, but I do think that he does deserve to go in the first few picks of the draft, but I also think it does buy us some more time. It also buys other clubs some more time if they do want to present a very last minute offer to us that is too good to refuse. My gut tells me that we will go ahead with pick 2, and I think we'll take one of Finn O'Sullivan or Sam Lawler, the one that's still available. I believe that Layla will go at pick 1, so that would leave Finn O'Sullivan at pick 2. Jagger Smith has been spoken about quite a bit, but I think he'll fall to Carlton at pick 3. That's just when my gut tells me. It's a really hard thing with North because we obviously have so many players who are similar, but on the flip side, we've been at the bottom of the ladder for so long, and I feel like you can't miss an opportunity to take up such incredible talent. I also think that, and I will touch on this a bit later, but there's not a big gap between some of the key position players that may fall a little bit later on in the first round, and we could potentially look to trade a future first or some future picks with those who do hold picks later in the first round to potentially get a key position player that we know we so desperately need. And I can understand the benefits of taking an Alex Tyru, the Viking, who is another player we've been really keen on and we've been heavily linked to. But I just don't know if he's worth pick 2, to be completely honest with you. If he was sitting in that top 5 player bracket, then potentially you just take him and you take the risk and it is what it is. But I don't even know if he's going to go top 10. A lot of the phantom drafts and draft predictions that have come out this week don't really have Tyru anywhere near the top sort of 5 to 6 players. A lot of people do have him going to St Kilda at either pick 7 or 8, which, you know, from pick 2 to pick 7 or 8, it is quite a bit of a gap. My gut tells me that they'll go ahead and pick Finn O'Sullivan. I think he's a player that will be available. Like I said, I think Layla will go at pick 1. You know, I think Jagger Smith will fall to Carlton at pick 3. I think that a player of his caliber and his quality would be silly not to act on him. Depth doesn't hurt. And the other thing is, and I don't want to put any doubt in people's minds because I don't think LDU's going anywhere, but it's a really long season. We were sitting here at the end of 2023 saying that Taron Thomas was the starter in our best 23. We really thought that he's someone we could build our midfield around, and within 4 months he was, you know, off the list and he was done at North Melbourne. Now, I think that's an exception to the rule. I don't see that happening again, thankfully, and I don't know what's going to happen with LDU, and I think that if we can show signs of improvement on the park in the early to mid part of next season, he will re-sign. But you just never know. You just never know where your luck's going to take you. And I think that you can't ever deny the chance of improvement, especially when you've been sitting on the bottom ladder pretty much since 2016. We have not really moved much off the bottom of the ladder. We've had a couple of spikes here and there, but for the most part, it's been pretty grim since then. So that's what I would be looking to do. However, I would have my eye on Luke Trainer. He's the one player that I am really interested in North keeping their eye on and seeing if they can make a deal with a future first round pick to potentially snag him later in the first round. Luke Trainer is a key position player. He is not too dissimilar to the Viking Alex Tyrer, who North fans, I think a lot of North fans have been really keen on. We've been linked to him a lot in the media over the past month. But Luke Trainer obviously not only is a quality player, the added romance of his pop playing for North Melbourne and him being a North supporter. And I just think in a club like North, that's something that you should really take into serious consideration. Josh Goda and Miller Bergman were both North supporters, and we recruited them. And I think the dream to play for North Melbourne, the dream to play for the club that you supported growing up, there is such a, I don't want to say pressure or heavy emphasis on it, but it kind of is. I think that's something that we'd be naive not to take into consideration. If there was an opportunity to take a player like a Finn O'Sullivan, who is just such a quality player, and then find a way to make a deal to bring in Luke Trainer later on in that first round, then I think that would be an incredible outcome for North. I think we would walk away really, really happy on the first night of the draft. That's kind of where I'm sitting at the moment. That's kind of where I think we sit. I actually don't think we will trade pick 2 unless an incredible offer came to be. We haven't seen anything that's blown us out of the water this far, and I don't think that there's going to be an offer that just comes in so late in the piece, it's completely going to blow us away. I would be open to it if the opportunity came up, and then if we were to push back the pecking order a little bit, maybe who we picked up would change and maybe Tyrell would be more into a consideration. But I just feel like a lot of this talk was maybe media hype. I don't doubt there is some interest from North. I don't doubt that there is a small chance we will still take him depending on where we sit. But the bottom line for me is if we were to take pick 2 into the draft and we were going to take a player with him, I would be taking the player that Richmond don't take out of Finn O'Sullivan and Sam Lawler. I think they're both such standout players while this draft is filled with talent and filled with potential, and there's not a massive gap between a lot of the players who are entering this draft. I think the two of them are the clear standouts. I think that's where I'm sitting at the things at the moment. I'm really interested to see what North do tonight. I think we do hold an underrated position. I think we hold a powerful position. I think we have a really big opportunity to shape our list and to really add the finishing touches onto our list before we prepare for a massive 2025. But those are just my thoughts, and now I would love to hear from you. What do you think North will do at the draft tonight? Remember, it's just the first round going ahead this evening. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video and you like the content coming out of Kanga TV at the moment, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's continue the conversation over on social media. We are Kanga TV Show on Instagram and on X. I cannot wait for tonight. I cannot wait to welcome a new player or players into the greatest club of all. I will be looking forward to speaking to you tomorrow when we wrap the first round of the draft.